rugged shores and woodlands of the north, its history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fishery. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around, my friend, and all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan. And sometimes when the moon brings out the diamonds in the snow, and the stillness of the forest lies encased in Arctic cold, the wind might whisper through the trees, listen if you can, it tells you all their beauty in the state of Michigan.
Hi there, come on in. It is Thursday night, August 5th, 2004. Well, there's two interesting things about these older shows: how much things have changed and how much things are the same. Well, you'll see what I mean in a few minutes, so stay tuned. I'm Zachary Trost with a show for the practical sportsman. The two shows we're posting on our partner website that we did on this date in years past are from 1982 and 1993. I'll recap some of the highlights. Starting with 1982, we fished in Canada for muskie, but we didn't go very far. Lake St. Clair is right here between Michigan and Ontario, and you have to have a fishing license from each government if you're going to cross the international border that goes through the lake. We fished in 1982 with Captain Roy Aldis and his fleet. At the time, he had state-of-the-art equipment on his boat. We'll look at it and see what's changed over the years, and look at the changes in muskie fishing as well.
Well, to catch big fish, you got to use big lures, big rods, and have a good guide, huh, Roy?
That's right. That's the name of the game.
Okay, I'm here with Captain Roy Aldis off of the Thames River here in Ontario, fishing Lake St. Clair. Roy, we're fishing for muskies.
Right.
The granddaddy of these freshwater fish. These are the lures you use. They're all the same. They're the believers.
Right.
How come?
Believers are probably one of the top producing musky lures made, and we got to stick with what catches fish. So
now this rod, how long is this?
That's a 10-foot rod.
10-foot, very stiff rod. Specially made?
Right. It has to be stiff so that when the fish grabs it, it sets the hook. If it's limp, he doesn't set the hook in it.
Okay, now let's see. Putting this on, you're not even using a wire leader.
No, if you use wire, fish can see it, and you can't fool them. The big fish didn't get big from being stupid. So
I see, okay. What pound test is this monofilament?
That's the 80-pound test mono.
Okay, now do you put this in the top or the bottom?
First eye.
First eye, right there.
Right.
Put it through like so. Okay. Now we have how heavy is this sinker? That's quite
10
a
ounces.
10-ounce sinker. And we'll just drop it overboard.
Okay.
Now let's get a look at this believer in the water. Well, it digs right down, sort of like a tadpolly or a flatfish, something like that. And that attracts the muskies. How fast are we trolling here, Roy?
We're trolling about 5.5 to 6 miles an hour.
Boy, it's scooting right along. Okay. How much line do I let out?
Let out about 10 feet of that one, 10 to 12 feet. That should be
That's
right
enough?
there. That's enough. They come right close to the boat.
The muskies come right up to the back.
Plant right there.
Okay, there we go. Now, the stubby little rod. Right. What is this for?
That's a down rod. This is the lure runs the closest.
The rods, reels, lures, and techniques haven't changed much in the past 23 years, but the electronic equipment used by anglers, it's made huge strides. You know, they just started using electronic fish finders in those days.
Look at that. Is that a muskie?
That's a muskie, yes. It's about 12 feet under the boat.
12 feet down, but our lures are high.
Right. Muskies are always looking up, and they'll come up at it.
Oh, is that another muskie right there?
There's another one right there. There's a pair of them. They always run in pairs.
Do they really?
Yes, they do.
Okay, we're scanning right under the boat.
Right under the boat, yes.
What are we in about how deep of water?
We're in about 18 feet of water.
Okay, trolling at 6 miles an hour, marking muskies on the graph.
Right.
The screens and quality of fish finders have come a long way since 1982. Loran C was brand new at the time. It was a big deal. But today it's been replaced by small, easy to use and far less expensive GPS units. Here's something else that really changed since 1982, bringing muskies back to the dock. Today most muskies are released to be caught again, and as a result, anglers are catching more bigger muskies than they did 20 years ago. But the problem of netting a big fish, well, this hasn't changed.
About this, Roy, come up here. Have you trained Captain Dan on netting fish?
I don't know. We got a good picture of it, though. We'll have to look at it.
Did we get a good picture?
He was nervous.
It had to have been the camera.
It had to be. What was going on there? We saw that huge muskie. We thought, great.
I asked him to back up, and he said he couldn't get any more lining on me. He said, I just can't get any more line for you. And I said, you got to give me more line. I can't reach him. He said, I can. He just looked at me. He said, I can't. I said, I'm going to take a stab at him then. And I took a stab at him.
You know what we were saying in our boat?
He's going to lose it. He's going to lose it. But I'll tell you, it only matters when it's in that catcher's mitt, man.
That's right.
How it gets in there, and it was in the boat.
Well, that's a beautiful fish.
You did a good job bringing it in.
Sure did. You've probably fished for...
We learned in 1982 that taking video from one boat to another is really difficult unless that water's completely flat, which it wasn't that day. Looking at this netting job in slow motion gives you an idea how close the angler came to losing that fish. While we were over on the Ontario side, we not only fished for muskie, but we ate walleye at a restaurant run by Wayne Radlin. Fred didn't get all of the secret ingredients for the breading, but he got some good tips on preparing walleye and a sales pitch for Lake St. Clair.
This is the best fishing grounds in the area.
You think so?
Oh, definitely. For muskie and pickerel, people travel further north. I think they're wasting their gas and time by traveling any further than Lake St. Clair.
Okay,
north of the Thames River.
Pickerel. You people over here in Canada call it pickerel. We call it walleye.
Walleye, yeah.
Okay, well, let's follow here. You take the...
We're very lucky today because these are fresh off the charter boats. So we're coming through a process where they're clean, and then they're rinsed a second time, and they go through, they're dipped in milk.
Oh, you rinse them in hot water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The purpose of in the hot water is it makes their breading stay together and goes into milk.
Now, what kind of milk is
That's
this?
homogenized milk.
Whole milk, or does it
Whole
make
milk.
any difference?
It's whole milk, yes. If it was skim milk, it would loosen the batter. It goes into a batter that we specially prepare with about 7 different spices.
Can you... Well, what else is in it besides the spices?
Well, there's there's breadcrumbs and different types of spices such as paprika and oregano and a few other things in there.
You can't name them all?
Not all of them.
How about just a couple more? Paprika, oregano? A little bit of maybe garlic salt?
A little bit of garlic salt, yeah.
Okay.
And that gives it the flavor.
Now, if somebody was going to make up something like this batter at home, they'd want to take some of their favorite spices with some breadcrumbs. Is there any flour in there?
Yeah, it's a deluxe pancake mix, and the secret is a very light batter. So you're eating fish, not batter. That's the secret of the whole thing.
Okay, well, boy, this looks good.
This looks good. It's right. There's 3 other ways that we...
Here it comes.
There it is.
The platter of your special recipe for deep fried walleye. How does this look, guys? Huh? All right. Come on down here, Wayne. They're applauding like this just for the looks. They haven't tasted it yet. They know it's got to be good.
Fred, it's piping hot and it's ready to eat. Dig in, boys.
Come on, boys, dig in there because we got to get some reviews here on how it actually tastes. We got a big build-up. But we might as well stay here.
You know, that fish was delectable. The whole story is on the partner side of the web. But let's jump to the August 5th show of 1993, which was a very hot summer. Fred got the idea that running an ice fishing segment from winter would be really cool. Well, the viewer reaction to an ice fishing show in the summer was very cool. We stick to the seasons, we don't do that anymore. But that show also had a recipe for smoked salmon crescents with William Wiswell, who had a number of award-winning recipes in our cooking contests over the years. And let me tell you, it was really good. Back to the show of 1982, Fred always liked to present controversial topics on his programs, and in the early years, he called this segment Fishing for Answers, Hunting for Solutions. When he was fishing in Ontario, he had the opportunity to talk with a commercial fisherman by the name of Dime Jubenville, who had opinions about governmental control, opinions that probably haven't changed much since 1982.
What about the coarse fish?
Well, there shouldn't be any quota on coarse fish whatsoever. That's stupid.
What reasons are you given that there's a quota that you can only take so many thousand pounds of carp?
I don't know. I think that we have a lot of young biologists. I said they like to flip their wings, express their theory, what they think is right. It's like you might say with George Washington with his hatchet, he had to cut down a cherry tree or some damn thing, and My feeling is that they come in here and they have a whole new set of rules, and many of them never go together. It's their theory they're trying at the expense of the taxpayer, the population of the country, and everybody else. I don't agree with them at all. We as commercial fishermen can look at the wind, the water, and the time of the year and tell you what fish should be there, and where we're going to catch fish. And we don't need a biologist to tell us that either.
Well, I don't know the answers to all of this, but one thing is clear. Whether it's Canada or the United States, whether it's gill nets or trap nets, lake trout or carp, the battle lines always seem to be the same when commercial fishermen, sport fishermen, and government fisheries biologists go fishing for answers.
The controversy about fishing quotas between commercial and sport fishing brews on today. It was kind of interesting looking at the outdoor headlines in the 1993 show. Zebra mussels, pink salmon, and a rattlesnake made for an interesting mix.
The flood, which has brought so much devastation to the Midwest, is also spreading the pesky zebra mussel. Before the flood, they were found in Tennessee, and this flood will undoubtedly spread them into many inland waters. Another freak of nature that is working out okay so far is the natural crossing of pink salmon and Chinook salmon in the St. Mary's River. Now, if you catch an unusually large pink salmon in that part of the state, the DNR asks that you bring it in to a biologist to determine if it's a pink salmon or one of the new crosses. A Virginia man, Jarrett Arlo Dean, came across a rattlesnake last weekend. It bit him. He got mad and bit the snake's head off. A few days in intensive care, and the swelling in Jarrett's mouth finally went down. Hoo-ah!
Now let's look at what I think is probably the most interesting feature from the shows we did on August 5th and years past. In 1982, Glenn Dutterer brought to the studio a live wild mallard duck. It's pretty interesting.
What we have here is a wild mallard duck. A wild one. It's not tame, but we can set it here on the table, and it isn't really doing much at all. Glenn Dutterer, you're the Extension wildlife man from Michigan State. You always bring us our wildlife sketches. Why don't you explain to the folks, first of all, why this looks like a hen mallard and why it isn't flying away?
Well, it's in its full molt. You can see the feathers on the table.
Oh, we have feathers all over.
It's molting, and what it is a drake, because you can tell by the green bill and the hint of green in its head. But what it's
little teeny bit, yeah. Is that leftover green, or is that green that's coming in?
I think that's green that's coming in, because he's lost all of his bright colors, the white ring, and you can see here there's just a hint of that ring coming back in his neck.
Tiny bit.
And what he does is lose all those bright colors and get these soft brown colors so that he can hide, because this time of year, and if he'll let us, he can't fly. Waterfowl,
look at those wings.
Waterfowl molt all of their flight feathers at one time.
Huh.
And so what he wants to do, since he can't fly, is use these colors to hide in the edges of lakes and marshes and rivers and in the vegetation. This is what we call the eclipse plumage.
Well, mallards are big birds. What are they trying to hide from?
Well, hawks and owls and eagles, when we once had a lot of eagles, and at night, raccoons, foxes, even opossums and skunks, where they can get a crack at them.
Our friendly little raccoons.
Our friendly little raccoons, yeah.
Tackle full-grown ducks.
Most birds, except for owls, those nighttime predators, are defenseless at night because they can't see, and then the waterfowl are compounded with the problem that they can't fly.
Now, this is the time of year, in this month and maybe for the next 4 or 5 weeks, that you won't see drake mallards around. They'll be hiding, and this is what their feathers look like. That's why they're hiding. This is absolutely amazing.
And what's more amazing is that he's lost all those bright colors, all those feathers. He's grown these, and now he's going to lose these, and by September, be in that full green head, white ring, rosy breast,
beautiful
canvas gray back. And that's a short period of time.
I know these ducks take a lot of food like we have here, some of this millet.
Got this buck that's a 10-pointer, almost a 20-inch spread, 10-inch tines, Livingston County, and it's a big one, not just a big one, a huge one, worth getting mounted. But I want to know what kind of hunter you are. How do you classify yourself?
I hunt for the meat, but I'm also trying to pass on heritage to my son. My father started me out hunting, and the weekend Saturday and Sunday opener, my son and my brother-in-law, we were in Mount Pleasant. My son had to go back to college, so I came back here and went out hunting with a friend I work with out on his property. And I went out and just sat in the edge of a swamp there in the morning, and his brother shot an 8-point out of my stand. I was going to hunt in the afternoon.
Well, I mean, is it about the big racks?
No, this is only my second buck. The first buck was a spike, and this big guy came out, and I didn't even really get a chance to look at him. I just seen great big horns, didn't even bother counting the points, and shot him. And when I went over there, I was really surprised.
Boy, I guess that is something. And there's nothing wrong with that, being surprised with a big one like that. That is great. 10-pointer Robert Dix. Way to go. Taylor Watson from Berkeley fishes on the other side of the state. I bet it's a family place you got there?
No.
No?
No.
Just a vacation area?
Yeah.
Hamlin Lake over in Mason County near Ludington. There's a lot of different fish in that lake.
Yeah.
And you got what?
A gar pike.
This is, looks like you got a walleye there?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the gar is the one with the funny beak on it and all of the teeth. And that was how long?
37.5 inches.
Now that stacks up pretty large in the state, doesn't it?
Yeah. Second.
The second largest one in the state.
For catch and release.
Okay. And when you caught it, what did you catch it on? I mean, their teeth are really bony and...
On a perch, fishing for pike.
Ah, pike under a bobber?
Yeah.
What do you catch? Do you catch just pike then when you fish that way?
No.
Like what do you catch?
Like I caught this, a 20-inch walleye, and a 6-pound sheephead.
Wow. What did you do with this gar?
Put it back.
In the water?
Yeah.
Right away?
No. I took it back to the cottage, and then I showed my dad's girlfriend and my sister, and then put it back in the water.
That's interesting. Was it kind of spooky to hold? And
Yeah, kind of, because it had a lot of sharp teeth.
yes, it does. But that makes an exciting day of fishing. You got this in August, 11 o'clock in the morning, Hamlin Lake. And what is about fishing you enjoy the most?
I guess catching them and eating them.
But you didn't want to eat that gar?
No,
Why not?
I don't know.
Just didn't look appetizing.
Not really.
That most people feel that way. Taylor Watson,
This week's Hall of Fame county is one that's landlocked near the center of Michigan's Lower Peninsula, and especially interesting if you like the name game. The name of the county commemorates the ending of the French and Indian War in 1759, when a French general was defeated and killed. His name was General Marquis de Montcalm, and for some reason, over 100 years later, Montcalm County was named after him. The first settler in the area was Charles Diener in 1860, and in 1874, a man by the name of George W. O'Donnell founded a village in the area he called Vestaburg. George's wife's name was Vesta Burgess O'Donnell, and that's where Vestaburg came from. Greenville was the original county seat and was the home of Hendrick Clair. In 1934, at the age of 50, he purchased $130 worth of merchandise to start the first grocery store. Today, Meijer is the 9th largest private-held company in the world. Now back to the name. In 1860, the residents of Montcalm County decided to move the seat to a more central location in the county. They purchased 40 acres from a gentleman by the name of Hall, who lived in Ionia. They named the new county Fred in honor, but in 1863 renamed it Fred to stand for the Country Secretary of War, N.M. But Trost will always have a special tie to the city that once had his name. Montcalm has over 2 lakes and acres of farmland that produce a big buck. Our Michigan Outdoors Fish and Game Hall of Fame. The next county we're going to feature on the Fish and Game Hall of Fame will be Sanilac County. The weather in August is usually as warm and as calm as it ever gets in Michigan. Take advantage of it, take a kid fishing, get outdoors. It is a great place to be, and we'll see you right back here next week.